Okay, so now we're going to look specifically at direct materials and look at the variances that can occur within direct materials. So the two types of variances that occur in direct materials or can happen in direct materials if we have a variance is a materials price variance and a materials usage variance. So the total variance for my materials would be my actual price times my actual quantity minus my standard price times my standard quantity. That would end up giving me my total materials variance just for materials specifically. And remember, that's materials variance, my actual cost of materials minus my planned cost of materials, it's the same thing. So actual cost of materials is just actual price times actual quantity. Planned cost would be my standard price times my standard quantity. So all I did was take this simple formula and kind of break it out into its components here. My actual cost is by multiplying these two, actual AP and AQ, and my planned cost is SP times SQ. So my materials price variance specifically. Now I just want to know about, was my price the issue? And if so, how much of variance did it cause? So materials price variance, I find by taking my actual price minus my standard price times my actual quantity. That's the broken down version, but if I spread this out, it'd be actual price times actual quantity minus standard price times actual quantity. So notice AQ is the same across the board here. So what I can do is I can factor this and simplify it. Now there are times when you have to have all four of these, like say you don't have a specific actual quantity or something where you have to use this whole formula, but most of the time you can break this down and what we call factoring. And effectively that is, because AQ is the same in these two functions, I can simply multiply the entire function AP minus SP times AQ. So actual price minus standard price times my actual quantity. So let's do a materials price variance. First thing I need to do is I need to find my four elements. I need my actual price, I need my actual quantity, I need my standard price, and I need my standard quantity. So in this problem here, this is my standards. Got my bag of corn chips that I'm making. These are my standards over here, standard usage, standard cost, all those things. And then this is my actual cost that's given in the problem right here. So in this case, my actual price for my actual price for my corn is 0.015. Okay, so my actual price, actual cost of corn, my actual price per bag of corn is 0.015. My actual quantity is the 11,700 is, oh, I'm sorry, no, that's my cost. My 0.15 times, oh, this is 780,000 ounces. So that's my actual quantity is 780,000 ounces. 780,000 ounces is my actual quantity. My actual price, my standard price is for the corn is 0.01. And my standard quantity, that's based on the number of corn chips that I made. So I made 48,500 bags of corn chips. So we need to multiply that by the number of ounces per bag, which is 18 in this case, to figure out what my standard quantity is. So you take 48.5 times the standard usage of 18 ounces to figure out what my standard quantity is. So now I've got my standard quantity, my standard price, and my actual quantity. So now I can do my materials price variance. So my materials price variance is, I'm just gonna follow this here, AP minus SP. So actual price minus standard price times actual quantity, so 780,000. So $3,900 is my variance for my materials price variance. Specifically, $3,900 is my materials price variance. What this means is that I spent an extra, since this number is positive, I have a $30,900 unfavorable, this would be an unfavorable variance. I spent $3,900 more than I should have based on the actual quantity that I used. So that's my price differential. If you look at what this really is showing me, it's showing me this 0.005 times my actual quantity, right? Because I took 0.015 minus the 0.01 times my AQ to get my to get my materials price variance. Materials usage variance is my actual quantity standard minus my standard quantity times my standard price. So that breaks down to look like this. Materials usage variance is standard price times actual quantity. And again, I can factor this to just do AQ minus SQ times the standard price. So this is whether I used more than I thought I should use or not. So I'm going to plug this in again. I've already got my 4 variables here. So my materials usage variance looks like this. I'm going to take my actual quantity minus my standard quantity times my standard price. Give me $930 worth of my usage variance. So that is the variance that came from the fact that my usage, my actual quantity used, was less than. So this is a favorable variance. This is a favorable variance because I used less than what I should have used based on the fact that I manufactured 48,500 bags of corn chips. That is the materials price variance and the materials usage variance. Now, I can find the total materials variance by either going back and redoing and do the whole formula again up here to do the total materials variance, or I can actually just add together these two, my materials price variance, my materials usage variance. Now, whichever one is larger is whether it's going to come out favorable or unfavorable. And since my unfavorable variance is larger, this is overall going to be an unfavorable variance. And that is the materials price and materials usage variance.